it's me, Almas, here with another episode of Coffee with the Scientist. Today's guest is Marwa Zafarullah. She is the fifth-year Ph.D. candidate at the University of California, Davis, and she had her bachelor's in agricultural sciences from University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, Pakistan. I'm going to take her live and I'm going to ask her more about her life. Let's see, where is she? I'm going to add her. Hi, Marwa.
Hi, Almas. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. It's such a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thanks for accepting the invitation. Well, I told a very little bit about your background. You're doing PhD from University of California. I would like to open platform for you for sharing a little bit about your background.
Right. Yeah, exactly. As you said, that I'm currently doing a PhD in Integrative Genetics and Genomics at the University of California, Davis. I did my bachelor in agriculture sciences with a major in plant breeding and genetics from University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. And towards the completion of my bachelor degree, I found this wonderful opportunity to pursue this full funded scholarship. It was the joint collaboration with USAID and between the government of Pakistan. And I feel myself very fortunate, lucky enough that I was among 9 who have been selected from all over the Pakistan. And I was one of those 9 participants who find a chance to join UC Davis. So I came UC Davis to start my master degree program, and I basically investigated the genetic and genomical aspect in the plants, and more specifically the model plant. It's called Arabidopsis thaliana. And I explore all the different genetic components, learn all the different fields, and all the different sciences that are around. And then towards of my master degree program, I built up my interest, a huge interest in the neuroscience, and more specifically in the neurodegenerative disorder. And then I decided that I want to pursue my PhD in the same field of genetics, but more specifically emphasis in human genetics. So by the end of my master, after the submission of my thesis and after a nice celebration, I make a transition to a PhD degree program. And now I'm currently in US, and I'm just like working more specifically with the Fragile X ataxia and tremor syndrome. It's a neurodegenerative disorder, mostly affect the older individuals. And it's a rare disorder. Unfortunately, we do not have any cure for that. We also do not have any molecular signature. So that's a kind of like overall big goal and aim behind my research, is to find any molecular signature that help us in early diagnosis, so we can help those patients ahead of time before they start suffering from the symptoms.
Wow, that's great. But the way you told your story, it was kind of something very smooth, and it seems like, wow, Marwa was always prepared for this. And how was it? I mean, if you go back to your teenage, tell us something about that era. How was Marwa at that time?
I was like a teenager, like any other teenage in Pakistan. I definitely want to tell that, as the most of the people and the youth in Pakistan, unfortunately, sometime in our family, we do not have anyone who have the experience to have a higher education, abroad or anywhere in the Western countries. So I also kind of raised in a family that I do not have, at that time, I do not have like a lot of inspiration in the term, a lot of guidance, with the family members around. So I know one thing for sure that I want to learn. Education is something that I realized in a very young age, that this is something, a power, and that's something that can help me in getting and fulfilling the dreams, like, the little Marwa with the big dreams, to go and explore what I would want to do. So that's something I learned in a very young age. And I say that no one's life is like, without hardships, because that's what make who you are, and that helps you to be more strong and go out in the world and make your way. So it's definitely, there's a lot of hardships that come in the way, specifically for pursuing education, because I started from a very small city in the Pakistan, and that was a little bit hard in the term of like getting to the education, going to the schools at that time, because there was not like too many facilities, unfortunately, around. But as the time goes by, things get clearer and clearer. I think the big transition came into my life when I was in an FSC, which is a kind of like intermediate education, that equivalent to a high school in the US.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was very dreamed of to be a doctor. That's something I think I was just being born with, and I always see myself as a neurosurgeon. This is something fascinates me so much. I remember I always have my like overall and my stethoscope. And those things I bought in a very young age because those give me inspiration. And I scored very well. But unfortunately, as we know that the competition is very high, I couldn't get into a med school. And that's the time when I realized that it might be an end. This is something, it just ended. It's nothing for me next. And then I feel that my parents is the one who kind of like a very strong support for me. They just like stand behind me, and they told me that there's a lot of other different ways that you can, fulfill your dream. So then I get into University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. I think by the time I graduated with the honors and with the medal from the University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, I know that this is something, I want to pursue, the investigation in genetics. And that's something helps me out. But as you said, hardships are part of life. They just teach a lesson and they help me to be more stronger.
So you thought, okay, you didn't go to the medical college for becoming a medical doctor, but let's be a PhD doctor.
Exactly. That's was exactly something, my dad is like, you can't only be just a medical doctor. If you want to help people, there's all different ways. You can be a PhD doctor, just start learning about that stuff, start searching more stuff.
So were you always thinking about US? This was very much, specific in your mind that you're going to have a PhD from US, or it was something, kind of opportunities they started appearing and you just chose US in the middle? How was it?
No, to be honest, the US was not something in my mind. I know one thing, that I really want to go abroad. I want to experience the culture. I want to experience how the educational system over there, and more specifically, I want to experience how it feels to research with the advanced facilities around,
The question, why abroad? Why not in Pakistan?
I think that's what I said, that unfortunately, I think it's just, it definitely take time. We are progressing, inshallah, and there will come a time when we're going to be reached to the point where we have all the facilities that can help us in investigating all the advanced questions, But as we know, as a fact at this point, that all the Western countries, the most specifically US, Canada, and other countries, I don't say that they are very advanced. I must say they have a lot of money and they are willing to invest those money for the science. And that's one of the things that they're progressing, and they have a chance to investigate all those questions that might not be possible at this point in Pakistan. So that was one thing. I know for sure that if I continue my higher education, or if I go for a graduate school, I definitely want to experience something outside the abroad. And then I said, by the time I reached towards the end of my bachelor, I luckily found a chance in the term that some of my very nice colleague, he just let me know about this full funded scholarship that at that time is being launched by USAID. And it was the only time that it being launched. It never launched before, it never launched after. So I think, it's just an opportunity that just knocked at my door. And then I just apply for that. To be honest, Almas, I really want to tell you, it's like, so I apply for this scholarship when I only have 48 hours left, because I really came to know about this scholarship about 48 hours ahead of time. And when I look at that, and I was like, how could I fulfill this extensive application just in 2 days? And I do not have any prior experience in the term of proposal writing, or, all these advanced documents that you need to be fulfilled, and professional documents. And I think that's the time when I seriously just sit down and I was like, okay, let's give it a try. What maximum could be happen? They said no, but at least I try from my side. So I didn't sleep for 2 nights, and I literally fulfill everything, and I just submit, I think, my application 10 minutes before the closing time. Like the moment I submitted my application, it was just 10 minutes left. So just to give an idea that sometimes the opportunities is just there. And it might not come in the very perfect format, but if you know this is something you need, you should have to go for that. And then I remember that, like, I was hearing from other people that they are getting a no, and everyone asking me, did you get any response? And I was like, no, didn't get any response. They're like, you might be selected. And I was like, I'm not doubting myself, but, in the term I know, because I saw people preparing those stuff a month ahead of time when I communicate with them. And then I get this email that I am shortlisted with 14 people all over the Pakistan. And I was the only one from Central Punjab that being selected. All of the people are from the different part of the country. and they only selected one person from Central Punjab, and that was me. And that was kind of like a player. And then they give me about a month to submit my scores for the IELTS and GRE, which like students sometimes not being familiar, those are two big requirements if you want to continue education in US. And I didn't take those tests before, and I really don't know about them. So I prepared for them in a month, and I submitted my scores. And that was shocking to find that I'm among 9, and then the top of those 9 who being selected to come into UC Davis. So I feel that it's just something inside that I know I want to do. And then, they said that once you have a spark, the door just opens, So
Oh my God. So you're telling me that you just took 1 month for preparing for the GRE and IELTS as well. So from where that spark came, I mean, it's not like easy. I mean, I know people who keep on doing this, many times and still they don't have success. So tell us something about, how you managed that.
I think, and I also want to tell them, the time I was preparing, I was also taking my final exam for my final semester for my bachelor's, and I was in a competition for the medal. So I was among top 3 who are from the class of my whole class. And it was class of about like 4,000 plus people that I'm talking at this point. So I was also in that kind of competition at that point. At the same time, I got this, I was like, juggling. And you definitely, there was a time when I feel like, oh my God, what's going on, and I think that was the very first time when I got this huge, pressure. And I feel that one of the best things that helped me in organization. So that's something that I know that I have this skill, but that was the time when I basically strengthened that skill and I use it in the best way. I organize my time. I just like divide the whole time and see how much I want to sleep, how much I want to eat, what I want to do at what time. And I think that is something that I always tell students when you come outside in the world. How you manage your time is one of the very big skill, because the life goes so fast and so many things come on your plate. Sometimes you feel that this one day of like 24 hours is not enough at all.
So making a proper schedule is very important for having, proper lifestyle in which you can eat, sleep, and also study, so that you can have your GRE and IELTS, just in 1 month.
Exactly. That's achievable. That's what I want to tell people who are listening to me. Nothing is hard. Nothing is impossible. If I can do that, you can do that. All right. I say, if anyone can do that, you can do that. And to be honest, if no one can do that, maybe you are the one who's going to start to do that. So always think that you might be the one, So nothing is impossible and nothing is hard.
Okay, Marwa, you have applied for so many scholarships and you won them as well. So what do you think? You should have your luck as well with you, or it's just like, it's the key is hard work and that's it?
I definitely feel it's luck. And I don't say it's more in the term of luck. I more say in the term of prayers of my parents, because sometimes I feel that that the way I am blessed and the way the opportunities come on my way, and then sometimes I just apply for the things without thinking that I might be the one, and it's kind of shocking to just see that my name being appeared over there, And definitely, I say 80% hard work, and that always pays off, even not in that format, but maybe in some other way. Your hard work is always going to come back. And the experience of learning, for applying, the more I feel that the more I apply, the more I write for the stuff, the more it helped me in improving my own writing, the more it helped me in expressing myself in the best way, So that definitely, the hard work is one of the best and strong strength that comes in the way.
Okay, you're mentioning frequently your family members. So how did they reacted when they got to know that you have a scholarship and now you're going to be in US? Obviously, Marwa would be like, oh, our cute little daughter, and now she's going to fly away. So how was that?
It was a great. So I didn't tell my parents when I applied for the scholarship. I didn't tell them until unless I get that I'm shortlisted. So I called my dad and I say, like, Dad, I applied for this. I called my dad Baba. So I was like, Baba, I applied for this scholarship. And it's like this full funded and amazing opportunity. And I just got an email that I've been selected. And my father is like, the first thing I think I heard from me is like, mashallah, I know that. Like, he has such a, faith in me that he always said that whatever you do, I have a faith that if this is best for you, you will get it. So he's like, so what's the next step? And I told him that I need to do these exams. And he's like, okay, how can we help you as being parents? And my parents are not, they don't have a higher education. They don't have very advanced degrees, but they know how to support their kids. And that's what something I learned from them, how to provide the support for the people when they're around you.
Tell me something about cultural shock. Did you had any when you were, a new kid in US? How was that?
Yeah, definitely. It was. I say that it was a huge cultural shock in the very beginning for me because I never been abroad before. So this was a very first experience, and definitely being in the country who has such a different culture than Pakistan. It was very different on many different levels. Not only on the personal level, because I started living all by myself, independently in another country. So there's a lot of things that come on the way that now I know that I have only to have tackled by myself. So that's something you can say getting more independent so sudden at once, and then when you saw people around, everyone is being so independent because this is how they're being brought up. This is how, they already have been trained, and then you just feel yourself a cuckoo bird in the nest. So definitely that was something that I say on a personal level. And then professionally, it was a very different environment because I came from the college and just done with my bachelor. So I never explored an actual professional environment. And when you come outside in the abroad, I can't say for the other countries, but up to my experience, whatever it is, I feel that all of the educational institute here, they are very well professional. And that's something they start training their students in very ahead of time. And unfortunately, this is something we are lacking in our institute to train our students and provide them that professional training. So this was another cultural difference, a huge cultural difference to see how people communicate, and how they build up the connections, how they build up the working relationships, how you have to go along with your colleagues, how you have to start kind of that nice, sweet, beautiful boundary between the friends and between the colleagues. So this is all kind of things that, it was shocking because in Pakistan, everyone is a friend. So, there's no concept of having a colleague or having a working buddy in the term of environment, So that was very different for me at that point. And then language, I never used to speak a lot in English in Pakistan. I mostly communicate in Urdu. So when I came in US, it's suddenly you come on the airport and everyone is just speaking in English. There's no other way to communicate. And that's the very first time when I realized that, wow, I might have an accent. I might have a way of speaking English because I never explored it before. I remember meeting my professor, very first meeting. I went with him and he just talked with me and he said, Marwa, have you ever been abroad before? And I was like, no. And he's like, your accent is not Pakistani. Because he deal with the students, from our part of the country. And I was like, to be honest, I don't want to lie to you, but I just realized that I have an accent when I talk with my Uber driver on the airport. And that's the very first time I realized that I have a way of speaking English, So that was different. People, I say the language comes with the time, comes with the communication. There was a time when people around me, they talk and I just pretend that I'm understanding everything. But in my heart, I was like, is there a way I can open the dictionary or I can actually understand what they're talking? or they're communicating something from the way that is very popular in America, like a Star Wars. It's a very popular movie series in US. And it's so popular that all the generations being grown up were watching this. So whenever they have this new Star Wars movies comes in, you can see so much thrill going on. And I always feel myself so stupid because everyone is talking about that. And I was like, what is exactly the Star Wars? I have no idea.
So how you learned to adapt yourself or how was that experience, of going out of your comfort zone?
I think
when we're in our own country, so we are everyone knows us. We have the same brought up as everyone else. Mm-hmm. But of course, when you went to US, they were completely different. So how you coped up with that situation?
It's just like, you don't know swimming and someone just throw you in the water and then you have to survive, and that's how you learn that skill. And ultimately, if you want to survive, you just reach to some kind of island just with the effort. So I think it was kind of like little similar experience in the term of, for me, especially when I started my journey in United States. It's like everything was kind of new, and I was just learning from the people around me. So definitely there was a time when I might feel a little frustrated in the way is like, oh my God, what is going on exactly, and where I'm standing, what I'm doing. And I think it's not only personal, but also my work life, because um, ev- everyone who being around in the US and who already have that opportunities, they're so fortunate in the way that they already being very well trained how to do a research or how to be in the lab, how to use different equipment. But unfortunately, as I said, we are still not at the point where we can provide all those facilities to undergraduate students. I didn't have those experience when I came from Pakistan. So learning everything from scratch and seeing other people around you who are at the same position like you, who are also a graduate student, but then you feel they're way more better because they already have exposure. Yeah, it was depressing at one time in the beginning, for sure. I sometimes feel at the point is like, what I'm doing is might not enough, not only in the way that my research, but also whatever I'm doing is might not be enough at this point. But then time was, I think, was the biggest factor. As time passes by, I start feeling myself getting better into the things. After a couple of months, I start getting hold of the stuff. I start learning more. I start getting more confident in myself because now I can communicate with the people, at least not at up to the best level that the knowledge they have, but at least I'm able to now convey my message, or whatever my
Mm-hmm.
opinions and what I want to do, my ideas. And then I feel the one way that I feel myself also very blessed that I found a chance to come into United States, and more specifically at California, because this is such a diverse state. The people came from all over the world. So whoever lives here is being very familiar how to deal with the diversity, how to respect the differences. So I think in the academic institution, when you have in one room people from 10 different parts of the world, that helps a lot, because then at one point you might feel yourself not being connected with them, but at some other aspect you feel that they do the things in the same way as you used to do, or
Mm-hmm.
they might be standing at the same point where you are standing. So I think that something was very helpful in understanding that I might not be proficient, or being expert in one day, but I will one day, hopefully, if I keep continue working. So I think that hope, telling myself before going to the bed, is like, whatever I did, it might not be enough, but it was good, and I will woke up next day, to keep continue working with better intentions.
Great. You talked about diversity. So, when comes diversity, we have a big challenge of conflict. Conflict managements in different situations. When you were within a lab where the group of people, they actually belong to different cultures.
I say the thing that helps me in tackling those kind of conflict management, in all the different setups and all the different formats, was respect. Uh, I like, not only from my side, I always feel that we always keep continue this mutual respect relationship. I never reach to the point, where I bring someone to being hurted by my words, or being feeling that the person is feeling letting down, by some way. Because to be honest, Almas, conflict is something that just comes if there's only two people in the room, because no one is similar. Everyone has a different opinions, not only in the academic session, but in a personal life. You might be thinking in a
Exactly.
different format. Another person may be thinking in a different format and different way. And this is not something bad. It just, it's a beauty. I feel like everyone is the same. Then there is no beauty in the world. The beauty comes when the different opinion comes, when the people communicate and provide the solution for the same thing in a different way. And that comes with the how you brought up, from which culture you comes, how you manage your conflicts with them. So I feel that if I being in the situation where I feel that my voice should need to be heard, I always say word louder, with respect and make sure that it's not something that I'm going like in a counter conflict to someone's personal belief. It's always being under the umbrella of the professionalism. It's not something that you can feel that it's being reached to the personal level. And I think that's being very well respected, because as long as you're professional and your opinions sound professional, everyone respects that, because that's how it's supposed to be. But they definitely reach a point, to be honest, where I feel that the opinion that I might give, it would not be go along with the majority people that what they're considering. And that's the time when I feel that it might be better at this time for me to keep my opinion to myself and bring it to the point when the room is ready to listen. So as I said, these all things comes with the time. You start learning when to speak and when to just be quiet.
We talked about professionalism during PhD. So very few people actually back home in Pakistan, they talk about this, because PhD for them is a kind of a degree. So do you really think PhD is a degree? It's something, or it's something different? It's a lifestyle. It's professionalism. It's skill development. What is your definition of PhD?
I said PhD is training. It's a very rigorous and it's a very amazing training, which might be stressful, which might be hard, but it's very, you can say, how the right word for me, the rigorous training that really kind of like, push you under the wheels for 5 years, but then once you come out, you're polished. So it's the kind of making a gemstone. When you find a stone, or maybe a diamond, it's not very well polished. It's just in a raw, crude form. And then the person who has a skill to how to work with the stone, he used all those skills and modern technologies to make those stone a diamond. So this is how the PhD program, when you enter into the program, you are just a crude stone. You don't know anything about any stuff. And then you get into the process of being polished by your PI, by your colleagues, by your peers, by your friends, and even by your family, because it's a different kind of experience. You're tackling things in a different way. And by the end of this 5 or 6 or 7 years, it depends, when you come out, then you're ready for the actual word. And that's how the PhD training is supposed to be, to make you ready for actual professional word. So then when you go out, you don't feel like I just wasted those 6 years. You feel that I achieved something that might help me to be survive in actual, real, practical world now.
What is failure? According to your definition, what is failure, and did you had any in the past, and how you tackled with that?
By my definition, I said failure is just getting disappointed in yourself, just admitting that you can't do this, and you just don't want to try. That's the failure. It's not the no from some other side, that you try something, like the journal definition that we have is like you try something and then you heard a no and you feel, oh my God, I failed it. I feel that's not a fail. That was experience that learn you so many, teach you so many things that you can use for your next try. But if I say, no, I do not want to try again, or no, I cannot do that, or no, I am not capable of this anymore, that's the failure.
Did you had any?
I say when I was young, for sure, there was a time comes when I start feeling that I couldn't do that, or I might not be the best person, to do it. And it definitely, I feel that was one of the time when I regret later on, because I lost so many wonderful opportunities by telling my own self that I can't do this without, just trying again. So yes, there was a time, and in my educational journey, in my personal life, when I trying to convince myself I couldn't do that. But then I think it's just a fact of time, an effect of maturity that comes with the age, that I realize is like, no, let's try. What maximum could be happen? I can get no, At least I try.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, how about universities? Are they important? I mean, to have a PhD, for example, Marwa, if you would be given a chance, for doing PhD from Oxford, from Cambridge, or from university from where you are right now, would you have some kind of different preference, or you think that no, doesn't matter university?
I say, to be honest, it's a 50-50%. Like, if I look at the general opinion, like how the things work in an actual world, the university, it matters. Like, if someone talk about the Harvard, or if someone talk about, about some other institute, it's gonna definitely come a difference. And I'm not saying that it's a very logical basis. I'm just saying that it's a human nature. The thing that we heard a lot with the passage of time, we're just getting start impressing by them, that personal, a personal opinion. So there's definitely some of the institutes who build their foundation and reputation with the time, and it's not only basis of that they go along so well with the time, it also that they have the best facilities, they have a lot of money, and you can maybe investigate a lot of different questions there, that you might not be able to do somewhere else because they don't have those kind of facilities. So that's one of the logical way that I look at that. And the other thing I feel, the important thing is what you want to learn, what you want to investigate, what is a question, what is a curiosity, what is your dream, what doesn't let you sleep when you go to the bed and you're like, oh my god, that if that experiment works out, and if I see the results, I'm so excited about that. I want to see how it works. It's not just like I want to see if it's a positive or negative. I just want to see what the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that spark is way more important, because you might get into a Harvard for your PhD, but if you don't have that spark in yourself, that Ivy League is not gonna rescue you from all the depression that you might get into. And eventually I saw people that lead to the point where they don't want to do PhD anymore. They don't want to go through that process because they just feel that they just lost that motivation. So I think that's really, really important, because as I said, it's a rigorous process. It crushes you a little bit.
What is
And
the motivation for keep on going? Because you just said that there are many people, PhD is difficult, and there are many people in the middle of the journey, they want to give up. So what would you like to say to all of those? Any
I,
piece of advice?
I just not like advice more specifically. I just might share what motivates me, because every person might be having, and I don't feel myself to be kind of like giving that big advice to such amazing people. But I can share what motivates me. I feel that um, the end goal, what my research could bring out in the world, that's really motivates me. When as I said that I'm investigating this rare neurodegenerative disorder, and unfortunately there's no cure. We don't have any help for those patients. And when I saw those patients coming into a clinic, I work with my professor. I really want to do something for them. I really want to help them. And I know that the research that I'm doing, the time that I'm investing, that might help us in finding something that we can bring to the clinics, that we can help them. So that's why I said that it's really, really important that you should be aware why you are doing this. So that motivates me. That's my motivation. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if that we might able to make it, but this is something that might the small contribution that I'm trying to pay. It might be lead to something big in the future. Maybe someone else, build something big, because this is how science works. I always tell people the big discovery that you see, or the Nobel Prize that you're hearing about, it didn't come from the work of one person. It's a decade, and sometimes a century of work behind that leads to the point to that big discovery made by that one person. But it's just a foundation that laid by so many people. So that's how science works.
About motivation, everyone has a different motivation. There are many people, what motivates them is to have a nice job. They want to have a nice career after PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, what kind of careers PhD offers? Like, someone who would like to pursue a PhD degree, what kind of careers he or she can have after having this degree?
I say the career options are limitless. It's not just because based on the field of study that you're studying in. the PhD by itself, it opens so many opportunities for you when you come out of your whole process, training process, that sometimes I saw people getting confused what they want to do because they have so many options. It's not that they're confused because they don't have anything. And majority of the time, this is the case when you have more options, rather than being less. So I say it's not now at this point. I can more speak from my experience in the United States. I'm not being so expert in the term how things working in other part of the world, but in the United States, if you have PhD training, I saw people, they are working in the areas that are so being different. Like I saw the PhD who being trained in neuroscience, they are working in a marketing, or they are working in the legislation. They are working with the attorneys to basically setting up this patent and hold this process of how you can bring and launch your products. So this is such a different areas that never being taught before. In the regulation and legislative, it always being under the people who have a law degree and who are being very well trained. But now the PhDs are working, and they're working so well. They're making a career with that. And I feel the reason because PhD teach them how to investigate, how to find the question, and then how to find the answer for that question. And once you learn that skill, you can apply to any field of study. So now, one of the field of study that sometimes that literally kind of surprised me is the science communication. It's a huge area. Before, if I ask about a decade ago, there was not so many people who talk about science communication. But now this is a huge field of study. It's a huge area where there's so many PhDs, so many scientists who are working, and they're just working to make scientific information easy and understandable for the public. They are working with the government organizations. They are working in a policy making. So that's just to give an idea that if you want to think how broad you can go, scientists are working with the politicians. They are making the policies right now, because they are well knowledge about the area. They are expert in their field. So this broad you can go. you can be. There's another field I recently came to know. It was so fun and so surprising and so amazing to learn, that they have this bioscience MBA in which they combine your biology knowledge with your marketing knowledge. The people do after their PhD this 1 year of bio MBA, and now you're expert in marketing with amazing training. Amazing training of PhD, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I mean, the resume of whatever you said is sky's the limit. You just need to be a little bit more innovative, instead of thinking that, okay, so I am going to be a professor just like my professor is. I mean, this is something that normally PhDs, they think about, but it's not that, we don't have this many academic positions for all of them.
Exactly. No, that's true. And
we have so many other careers.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, Almas. I definitely emphasize on your words, and I say that, especially the viewers or the people or young girls who are listening to us, I definitely want to tell them that the academia, there was a time when that was the only option. And to be honest, people even trained themselves to how to go to an academia. But now, as being a competition coming up, and then funding situation is going to be a little different all over the world, the trend has been changed in past couple of years. Now, you see it's a huge trend that people are choosing industry, or they're choosing the unexpected professions because they feel they might have more better chances to be, more successful there, or more build up their career pretty fast, rather than just being academia, where you have to wait a long, long time before you reach the point where you're being stable, in the term of like human educational career. So I think that you're absolutely right. Definitely, I can't emphasize more.
So there were many areas that existed before as well, like you're saying scientific communication, but actually there was a simple journalist who used to cover that area, and it was always, very much complicated. How first the challenge was that first he was supposed to understand science, because he was someone who was outside from the field. So that was a big challenge at that time as well. Now things are changing. The same way, science and policy. Now they are actually, in the developed countries, actually, in the developing ones, still we have this big challenge because policymakers are still unable to understand how and why they should talk to scientists. But like in US and in European countries, this is something that is becoming very common these days. That actually scientists, they're also feeling the need that they should, patch up with the policymakers, and policymakers as well. They are now understanding the need of, listening to the scientists. Okay, Marwa. Work-life balance is a very big topic, and people, especially those who are doing PhDs, they always have problem how to manage their personal life with their professional life, and or you can say the lab activities, because they are rigorous, and then sometimes even on weekends you need to be in your lab. So, how about your life? Are you married? You're single? How do you manage?
First, I must say that, Almas, this is a really important question. This is one of the very beautiful, question, and I always admire that. Yes, Alhamdulillah, I'm married. And as you said, that when you have a graduate school, especially when you're doing a PhD, you don't have any set hours. You have to work over the weekends, and sometimes you have to work late night. It depends what kind of experiment you are running. So it's definitely, sometime struggling in the way how to manage the time. And I said in the beginning, it was for me too. Because I get and started this new phase of life, and along before that, I was used to work in the lab late nights, with my music on, and just don't think about it. There's someone else, in my life who's waiting for me at home. But when you get married, you definitely, have to start keeping that balance. And in the very beginning, I feel one of the things that helps me is just prioritizing my work and making sure that I complete my lab work in a lab time. Defining that set hours. That if this is something that's very, very urgent need, how I can manage that according to the experiment nature, and I feel that it makes me more organized in the different format that I was not before. Before that, I was like, oh, I will do it. I have a lot of time. So that's something. I start prioritizing my work. I went to the lab. I start writing things and seeing what I need to do and achieve in that particular day, and make sure even before leaving lab, for that particular day, I'm done with that as most work, so not putting too much, not too less, but as much as need. So that's something really, really helps me. And the second thing I feel is open communication with my partner. It's always, I always feel the relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is, even if it's with your mentor or with your partner, it always goes strong when you have open and honest communication. So if you think that would be really important, that you need to tell them how your working structure is, you are not working, like 9 to 6 specifically, or I say 9 to 5, like, with the specific, but you're in the field of study that might be investigation, or that might need experiment that need to be run off times over the weekend. So I had this very nice open communication, and I feel myself very blessed that my husband, he is, mashallah, so understanding about the situation. And sometimes we set up the strategy that if I have need to work over the weekend, we bring our tea together, and he just come with me, and he bring his laptop. So he just work in my office when I'm running experiment, and then we just sit down together and have a nice warm cup of tea, and then we come back home. So it's a kind of a chit chat. He just come to see how my experiment going, and sometimes I just check how his work is going. So that's the kind of companionship at the workplace that we start building studies.
This is really interesting. I mean, the way you're talking about your life partner seems like he's more like a friend to you.
He is, indeed. I say that I feel, I'm not with the term of like, but I feel that, alhamdulillah, the way he understands me and the way he respects my work, this is amazing. It's just wonderful when the person that you spending your life with also acknowledge you and respect you, and being aware of the importance of the work that you're doing. That's really, really important, because I sometimes feel that people, unfortunately, they're doing an amazing job, but they do not have that kind of support, and especially when you are going to a stressful training of a PhD, you need as much support as possible. you want to gather, So
I can't agree anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we gonna start our one thing moment. So the rule is that you're gonna answer me just in one word or maximum one sentence.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay. I think I am.
Okay, so one thing scientists must learn.
Communication,
One thing advisors should know, the PhD advisors.
mentoring,
One thing a girl coming from Pakistan to pursue higher degree must know.
life would not be easy.
One thing everyone should put in agenda for every day.
One day at a time. Don't put so many things on yourself.
Okay.
Just do work on your pace.
One thing that you, Marwa, can't live without.
Food.
One thing that motivates you to keep moving.
What is coming next?
One thing that helps in kicking out procrastination.
My advice.
One thing every student must learn as soon as he or she can.
How to manage your time.
One thing you want your parents to know.
That they are amazing.
One thing that helps in reducing pressure on nerves while stressful failures happen during lab work.
This is how science works.
One hobby that you have.
Book reading.
Why it's important.
It just broadened your vision.
Great. Thank you very much, Marwa. It was a pleasure having you. And I asked so many questions. I guess you must be tired right now.
No, I'm not. I must say, Almas, it was such a wonderful talking to you, to be honest. And it's such a pleasure to be with you. I again want to emphasize, you are doing such a wonderful job. Not only in the term of like connecting us with back to the people who are interested in science or people who are already pursuing a science, but also giving us a sense, of sharing of our experience with them. It was such a wonderful communicating with you, and I love answering all those questions. I'm not sure how best I answer, but it was such a fun conversation, other than just being talking as science in the day.
No, that was really fantastic. And sharing your own life experiences at such a young stage is not that easy, I must say, because actually one must have, self-consciousness. You need to first know yourself so that you can express. And the way you expressed, mashallah, it was really wonderful. It was impressive.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
You once told me that you have a hobby, that you like to read. And you also write poetry, I guess.
Yes, I do. I read a lot, and I do sometimes write poetry, kind of like, as you say, people are bathroom singers. So I'm kind of like a bedroom writer. I just will write with my little notebook sometimes.
So would you like to share something with us? It would be nice to listen to something.
Sure. So I would like to share one of the poems. It's by the Praveen Shaker, and I said that this is one of the poems that I heard in a very young age, and I feel that as being a scientist and have a relationship with the curiosity, this might well explain. When they ask is like, what keeps you scientists all the time in the lab? Just being on your bench, and I said, just the curiosity. This is something to know. So I read this poem in a very young age, and I really want to share with you and other folks who are listening to me. So the poem title is called Justaju, like the curiosity, the urge to find. And said that, it was in Urdu. It said, Ajnabi si rahon ka, ajnabi musafir ek. Ajnabi si rahon ka, ajnabi musafir ek. मुझसे पूछ बैठा है रास्ता बता दोगे अजनबी सी राहों के अजनबी मुसाफिर सुन रास्ता कोई भी हो वास्ता कोई भी हो मंजिलें नहीं मिलती रास्ता कोई भी हो वास्ता कोई भी हो मंजिलें नहीं मिलती मंजिलें तो धोखा हैं मंजिलें जो मिल जाएं जुस्तजू नहीं रहती जिंदगी को जीने की आरज़ू नहीं रहती.
Wonderful. Wow. So it's all about journey, actually.
Exactly. It's like there is no destination. It's just the beauty of the journey.
Thank you very much, Marwa. It was nice having you. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Almas. Take care of yourself and stay safe, please. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
So guys, I hope that you liked today's episode. If you also want to get featured on my page, Please send me your CV with your accomplishments. And don't forget to like, follow, and share Coffee with Scientist.